อาจารย์หมีเราเริ่มเลย Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back again to the conference hall. For your information, this afternoon you will meet our theme-based speaker at around 3 a.m. or like about 10 minutes. Before meeting her, may I remind all of you again to fully enjoy our virtual conference. There are two platforms used to facilitate all participants to navigate conference session: Zoom for all conference session and meetings, and AirMeet for social lounge area where participants can chat or discuss with other participants anytime during the conference. In addition, the AirMeet is used for poster session where participants can view interesting posters virtually. And now, may I give the floor to Professor Yoshiko Goda, ICCE Session Chair, to introduce our theme-based speaker. Please welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm Yoshiko Goda at the Kumamoto University. I currently a visiting scholar at the University of Michigan. And I'm also like a SIG chair of FCTLL, Technology Enhanced Language Learning. It's very honor to invite Professor Anna Gimeno, today's honorable speaker. And let me introduce her briefly. Professor Anna Gimeno is full professor of English language in the Department of Applied Linguistics at the Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, Spain. She is head of the research group of computer-assisted language teaching, devoted to research in computer-assisted language learning, and has been project manager of several funded multimedia computer CLLL core research. And also, she in 2016, she co-authored the first Spanish as a foreign language, massive open online course delivered on a US-based edX platform, which has attracted over 350,000 learners from around the world. And in 2018, she published the first upper intermediate English edX MOOC, which has attracted over 200,000 learners. And she has been very design and developed successful MOOC. And today she is talking about the language learning and MOOC. Professor Anna Gimeno, thank you very much for your presentation. Please share your project and research. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Oda. I'm delighted, first of all, before I share my screen, I'd just like to say that I'm delighted to be here, that I'd like to thank the organizers of the conference for inviting me to deliver this talk. I would have preferred to be in Bangkok in person and meet everybody in person, but well, that hasn't been possible due to the health threat that we're living at the moment. But I definitely hope to be able to meet everybody in the future in person. Okay, so I'll share my screen and start with the presentation. Okay, just a moment. Okay, right, so I'd like to talk to you about the MOOCs that Professor Yoda was talking about. And think a little bit about whether massive open online language courses, or LMOOCs as they are commonly known, satisfy learner needs. Given that there is great interest amongst MOOC designers and providers to understand what triggers learners to register for a given MOOC, how they interact with the course, and ultimately what their opinion is in terms of effectiveness, we implemented a Google form questionnaire at the beginning of the first of a sequence of 4 LMOOCs and another at the end of the last one. The LMOOCs are delivered on the edX.org platform, one of the major MOOC providers, and are offered as a professional certificate. According to edX, as you can see there on the slide, professional certificates are a series of courses designed by industry leaders and top universities to build and enhance critical professional skills needed to succeed in today's most in-demand fields. So here, well, you can see on the screen also the link to the professional certificate in upper intermediate English, which is the overall name of the 4 MOOCs that we have designed. Each one is devoted to, as you can see there, one business, modern life, globalization, and technology today. We have, over the past years, since it was launched in 2018, we've had over 400,000 registered users on the platform from 198 countries. In this presentation, I'll focus on some of the findings resulting from the surveys that I mentioned, primarily on the motivations behind the enrollments, as reported by the respondents themselves, and the possible reasons leading to attrition or dropout, bearing in mind Sean and other colleagues' conclusions, whereby motivation is significantly predictive of student course engagement, and in turn, engagement is a strong predictor of retention. To conclude, I'll refer to the solutions that were implemented to engage remote learners and try to decrease dropout rates. The workload in each of these MOOCs is distributed into 4 course units. These contain theory and practice geared towards practicing the language, and 4 tester units, which aim at helping learners assess whether their performance complies with the target level of English. The content is structured into 5 sections: reading, writing, use of language, listening, and speaking, altogether adding up to over 100 activities with a varying number of items per MOOC. Each section is introduced with appropriate theoretical explanations, followed by exercises. All of the theoretical content is embedded in the form of short video recorded presentations. The overall study time allocated to each MOOC is approximately 30 hours. The first MOOC was published in October 2018, and the rest followed sequentially, running on a calendar schedule. After the first run, all 4 MOOCs were made available on a self-paced basis. Learners can contact a teaching assistant via the forum to formulate questions or doubts. To date, 15% of the enrollees have completed all 4 courses. The main reason given for not having completed the courses is allegedly due to time constraints caused by workload. In this table, which outlines the participants in the course throughout the 4 iterations of each of the MOOCs in the certificate program, we can see a number of trends that when I was extracting the information from the learning analytics embedded on the edX platform, I found very interesting. For example, here at the top, we have the names of the MOOCs: business, modern life, globalization, and technology today. As we can see, the average age of our users is decreasing. So over the years, since we started in 2018, it's decreasing slightly. So the first years of each of these courses, The average age was 30, 34 in this case, 33, 33, 33, and it's slowly decreasing. The percentage of learners holding a higher education degree is also getting lower, which is another factor that I found interesting. Then we can see that regarding whether our users, our participants in the MOOC are male or female, we can see that over the years, the number of female learners is increasing. So here, for example, we can see in the first MOOC, in the business English one, that we started with 44% of females registered on the system, whereas in the fourth iteration of this course, we have had 52%. As you can see, also some of the courses are currently running. Globalization will finish in January 22, and also technology today. So these are currently open at the moment and running. The world spread of countries participating in the MOOC remains constant, more or less constant from the beginning in each of the iterations. As pointed out by Barak and colleagues, motivation is conceptualized as an internal state that arouses, directs, and sustains goal-oriented behavior. It is defined as a process whereby goal-directed activity is instigated and sustained, and it determines whether or not a person will have a certain interest or be engaged in a certain activity. Furthermore, in the context of learning, motivation is conceptualized as an internal source which enhances, maintains, or mediates cognitive development. These facts lead us to include three questions. These facts led us to include three questions inquiring about the motivation in the pre-questionnaire that we embedded into the first MOOC. These questions were: rate a number of given factors according to how motivating they are to learn the language. Do you think technology is more motivating than traditional language learning materials? And the third one, the medium of instruction influences the student's motivation to learn. So here we can see that with the surveys, we wanted to see what triggers learners to register for a given MOOC, how they interact with the MOOC content, and how effective they perceive the MOOCs to be. So these were the questions that we wanted to investigate with the pre-questionnaire and the post-course questionnaire. The pre-questionnaire users were requested to fill in this questionnaire at the beginning of MOOC number 1. It was divided into 5 sections with a total of 24 questions based on a 5-point scale and an additional 15 open-ended questions. The number of respondents amounted to 19,074. The post-questionnaire was made available at the start of MOOC 4 and was divided into 5 sections with a total of 71 questions. So it was a long questionnaire divided into, based on a 7-point scale and an additional 3 open-ended questions. Unfortunately, only 69 learners have completed the final questionnaire, so it's very difficult to correlate the data, taking into account the amount of respondents that we had for the pre-course questionnaire. This is the first question that I mentioned. Rate the following factors according to how motivating they are for you to learn a language. And here we can see the 11 options that were given. They had to indicate whether it was motivating, neutral, or not motivating. The results of that question reveal that out of the 11 options provided, The motivating factor that led them to enroll on the MOOC to learn English was primarily answer A, which is a will to get to know and understand other languages and cultures, followed by K, the last item, the prospects of being able to get a job or to get a better job. There is a tie in the third most popular option, B and J, each with 83.8%, which also reinforces the idea that both personal development and work-related motives are at the forefront of the reasons for people wanting to join a MOOC. According to the motivational components that influence learning, we can therefore infer that enrolling on a language MOOC rests primarily on personal relevance. That would be summarized in responses A and B, which indicates the significance of learning to the learner's goals, and how significant it is to their own learning goals, and on extrinsic motivation, which involves external incentives for learning, such as improving job prospects, identified in the questionnaire by responses J and K. The least motivating indicator is G, that is, motivation stemming from family background. Here we can see that item with only 30.7% of the responses. The open-ended question intended to seek information about the simulation driven by using technology versus more traditional means, and was analyzed by first categorizing the responses and then interpreting the results quantitatively. A total of 50% reported that technology was a motivating factor, and 42% thought it was not. Out of the negative answers, 70%, the vast majority of these referred to reasons relating to lack of human interaction, especially with a live teacher. A further 8% either did not have an opinion or saw the value in both traditional methods and technology-based approaches. The patterns that arose and the frequency are displayed here in this slide. We can see here, although the percentages in general were low, we were able to see several patterns emerging from the responses. The responses indicated that technology-based materials were more motivating because they are better suited for self-paced learning. 11.15% indicated this, and for self-access learning, which is in line with the fact that they had registered on an actual MOOC. Ubiquity was indicated by 3% of the participants, and accessibility by 2.4%, together with less time constraints and more flexibility. Also repeatedly appeared. Cost was also indicated, as many saw online materials as being cheaper or at least more affordable than other options. Regarding content, some responded that they found these materials more engaging, more fun, more interactive, more interesting, and more dynamic, as well as richer in resources. Some enrollees also indicated that these materials are useful because they help to reinforce knowledge, and because it is easier to follow up on learning progress, probably due to the immediate feedback and scoring system that are normally integrated into these online courses. Lastly, the speed and amount of intake was also commented. 1.31% believed that learning was faster, and some others said that they learn more with these means. Okay, so not in terms of speed, and also amount of intake. Regarding whether the medium of instruction is a decisive factor, this graph here that we have on the screen illustrates respondents' opinions. 62.09% agreed and 21.71% strongly agreed that they were influenced by the medium of instruction, which indicates that the vast majority of people are lured towards learning a foreign language through technological means because it is seen to boost their will to learn. So it's a motivating factor in itself. An additional 14.43% had no opinion, and a neglectable 1.58% disagreed or strongly disagreed. Strongly disagreed, we have 0.19%. This, of course, has consequences for designers, because designers have to develop appealing and attractive content and resources to boost the learner's motivation to take up language learning as a lifelong learning activity, irrespective of the reasons that may drive them to this means. Because lack of guidance and scaffolding are factors that can lead to attrition, several solutions were implemented to overcome these deficiencies. As well as this, because some of the more challenging areas in language MOOC design relate to providing opportunities for learners to practice speaking and writing skills, and being aware of this as we are, that our upper intermediate English MOOC learners lacked real communication opportunities for learners to produce authentic language exchanges, we designed, in order to solve this, we designed a number of activities to support learner interaction and communication. These activities were programmed with using Google Hangouts and conducted by postgraduates, EFL teacher trainees, providing opportunities for enrollees to put into practice some of the content included in the MOOC. On the other hand, as automatic correction of written production is still not feasible, peer assessment was implemented using specially designed rubrics to evaluate open text. We also hoped this would encourage learners to become aware of the progress and engage in their learning process. For instance, to receive their assessment, they had to assess a minimum number of assignments written by their peers. That minimum number can vary according to how you program it. In our case, we decided to have them evaluate, assess 3 of their peers' open input activities in order to access their own assessment. Given that acquiring a foreign language is one of the most complex processes in learning, we'd like to highlight the need to enrich a language MOOC with extra resources and strategies in order to intensify learner support, which can in turn translate into increased motivation. Additionally, self-access MOOC enrollees need to be given incentives in order to help them become efficient, autonomous learners, and thus prevent current low retention rates still oscillating in the 10% range. And those are my final conclusions. Here we have the list of references, and with this I shall conclude. So thank you very much, and if there are any questions, I'll be delighted to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gimeno. Well, we welcome the questions from the audience. Please use raise your hand on the MOOC function or the question and answer functions. John? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Yoshiko, and thank you very much for your presentation. It's really interesting to hear you. I just have a quick comment about the low number of respondents, and I couldn't help but think straight away that often it's the case with MOOCs. There was a high attrition in terms of participation. Many people enroll in MOOCs and they will maybe see 1 or 2 weeks out or 1 or 2 sessions out of the MOOC, but they don't complete. So I just wonder whether that might be a factor in the way that you've been looking at the percentage of respondents, and whether if you weighted that factor against your responses, your responses might be more compelling. Yes,
I'm not sure if I understood, John, what you said there, but sorry.
So let me try again. Let me try again.
I was fiddling around trying to get back to the screen.
Yeah, this is right. Technology does interrupt us all. It can be a problem, and so we're entering the age where we need to concentrate better. All of us. I understand. So let me try again.
Yeah.
So in my experience of MOOCs, often they attract a large enrolment.
Yes.
You know, sometimes we have maybe 30,000 people might enroll in a MOOC, but by the time the MOOC is done, there might only be about 120 people left at the end. And so I don't know what the experience was with your MOOC, but I'm just thinking about the low numbers of respondents in your research, whether if you weighted that against the number of people that actually completed, whether those percentages would change. Is that clear?
There was an extra difficulty here because the professional certificate in upper intermediate English is comprised of 4 separate MOOCs. The pre-questionnaire was embedded into MOOC number 1. So right at the beginning when people registered. Now, the post course questionnaire, the post questionnaire was embedded into MOOC number 4. So we were expecting, of course, we needed, in order to correlate the data from the pre-questionnaire and the post questionnaire, we needed the additional difficulty of getting the people to register on all 4 MOOCs. So if I just relied on the answers in MOOC number 1 and embedded the post questionnaire into MOOC number 1, then we would have had also a larger number of respondents, because the it was on one of the tables. The first MOOC was the one, when it was first launched in September 2018, was the one with the largest numbers, registration numbers. So that was an added difficulty.
Yeah, I suspected that might be an issue in the mix. Yeah. I also have a comment, and Anna, if you don't mind, in terms of identifying technology as a motivating factor, or not, I find that to be, it's an interesting question, but it's a question that we could probably nuance in lots of ways now, given that we've got a few decades of digital learning behind us, because we have so many different kinds of digital technology platforms. And my experience, once again, there is that some students prefer certain channels for engagement, certain platforms over other platforms. And so I'm wondering whether, with future research, it might be an interesting question to perhaps nuance further when we're asking that question. Is technology, well, let's think about the style of technology. So it's really just a comment.
In this case, the questionnaires actually had around 70 questions. So, I mean, I've just commented on 3 of those questions that related more or less to motivations to enroll on the MOOC. So we have been able to extract a lot of information. But regarding the use of technology as a medium of instruction, as a motivating factor for them to enroll on the MOOC and want to learn English, you'd be surprised at the number of students who still say that they prefer traditional teaching with a traditional printed book in front of them and a live teacher in the classroom. So even, you know, youngish learners sometimes still prefer, you know, the printed textbook, and that can be surprising. We have explored into all of the answers, and in fact a PhD dissertation is being developed out of this, but yes, I just extracted brief information from the questionnaires.
Thank you very much. I think we're all looking forward to, in a way, getting back to the face-to-face a little bit more too. We're all a little bit Zoom fatigued.
Yes, yes.
So, but yeah, it's interesting times. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if the rest of you have this the same feeling, but when I talk through the medium of Zoom, it just doesn't feel the same as talking to a live audience in front of you. I mean, you know, the enthusiasm that you put into, you know, delivering whatever as a teacher, as a speaker to conference, it's just not the same. You know, there's a certain passive frame there in front of you, you know, that prevents us from well, sometimes even being ourselves, you know. That I think we have 2 types of us, the us in front of a machine and the us in front of a live audience, you know, with people, real people in front of us who you can look into the eye and you know.
I think there was a James Bond movie about that once. I think that they called it "You Only Live Twice." Or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, maybe somebody else has a question.
We have a question in a chat. So what do you think about the role of the metaverse in education?
The role of the metaverse. What's the metaverse?
It's a, do you clarify your question?
Ezequiel, are you there? Could you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Does anybody else? Ezequiel, can you unmute?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Because a while ago you were talking about the resumption of face-to-face classes, and yeah, a lot of want to go back to face-to-face classes, and because we're all Zoom fatigue, but then I believe there are already much more promising technologies, like because there's most especially Meta Incorporated, they're beginning to launch widespread metaverse thing, and they said that the metaverse is the future post-pandemic, and yeah, or even Microsoft though, and what do you think? Does the metaverse really have a role, even if many decide to go back to face-to-face classes?
I'm sorry, but I still don't know what metaverse is.
Metaverse, as in using augmented or virtual reality.
Oh, augmented reality. Does it have a role in education? Yes, absolutely, of course. Yes, yes. And there's a lot of research going on at the moment, and a lot of funded projects to explore the possibilities of augmented reality in language learning. Yes, of course. A lot has been done already, especially in primary and secondary education, at least here in Spain. Not so much at university level, and not so much, as far as I know, in terms of language learning. But yes, it has been incorporated and a lot of research is being done. And I think no doubt it'll be the future. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other questions and comments? Well, related to John's first question on comments, I just wonder if you see any pattern or systematical result, which kind of motivation students have continued and complete the MOOC 4. So you have like a less respondents for post questionnaires, but you have the first one. So can you find some tendency who could complete MOOCs number 4?
Yes. I think from the data we have, we can safely say that those that finish is because they have a certain amount of self-discipline. You have to have a certain amount of self-discipline and self-regulation in order to organize your life and incorporate that learning space that you want to add to your life. So that's a personal feature that a person has to rely on, self-regulation. So you have to be disciplined. You have to have a certain amount of time management skills in your life. Otherwise, things just get out of hand. And then, very importantly, I think that the reasons that lead them to register on the MOOC, as I mentioned before, either for personal reasons or for professional reasons, I think one of the strongest motivations is because learners believe that they can improve their professional prospects, find a job, a first job, or find a better job. So this was extracted from the results of the questionnaires. And then personal motivations, either related to wanting to travel, wanting to, I don't know, anything relating to your personal circumstances.
I see. Thank you very much. I'm really interested in language MOOC design and versus just the MOOCs. So what are the features of LMOOC, language MOOC, comparing to other MOOCs?
Well, those of us who design MOOCs know that a MOOC platform designing a MOOC is based on templates. So you have to fill in a number of templates with the information that you want to convey in the course. So, and you have to comply with what those templates allow you to do. Now, MOOC platforms have not been designed for language learning. And as we all know, language learning requires a number of a particular effort to learn the language and practice skills like speaking, productive skills, which aren't normally present in those templates. So in our case, what we did was design a number of add-ons to the MOOC platform, because we use an open source system, Open edX. So we were able to design our own add-ons. For example, by adding an online dictionary, by adding other apps like Duolingo, we added to the MOOC, incorporating what we call a language lab. So incorporating an app that allowed the learner to speak and record themselves and then compare their production with a pre-recorded production. So a number of design issues that we've had to add to the MOOC. And then we organized, as I said, in the presentation, Google Hangout sessions, and also we organize sessions using a tool which unfortunately is no longer available. It was, I can't remember the name now, whereby it was like a tool to schedule online sessions that the learners registered on the MOOC could sign on to, and then meet a particular day and a particular time, and they would do speaking activities that we had previously designed and made available to them. So MOOC platforms are restricted for language learning, are very restricted. So anybody who would, wants to start designing a language MOOC needs to bear this in mind.
Right. But at least if we can develop some application which is related to enhance like speaking and communication, it might be helpful for like us in like language teachers. Thank you very much. Well, I think we are almost the time of the end of the session. So we would like to show our gratitude. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much. Very interesting and learning thoughtful talk, and we learn a lot of related to language MOOCs. And this is the certificate of
appreciation
of ours. So I just virtually
thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm delighted. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you. So once
Thank
again,
you very much.
Yeah, clap.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much.
Professor Gimeno. Thank you. So we would like to close this session. Thank you very much. Thank you for the participation, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. And see you soon.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much for your remarkable speech. And before ending our activity today, don't forget to join our social activity. You can visit our Facebook page and watch 2 video clips and post your comment below that post. The most impressive comment will get the special souvenir from Thailand, and it will be announced at the closing ceremony. And if you have technical problems while attending any ICC session, there are 2 channels that you can contact our technical teams. First, if you go to our official website, you will see the help desk chat at the bottom right corner, or you can email our technical team. Any inquiry about technical issues are all welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's activity in the conference hall. I would like to say thank you to all participants for joining us. Thank you and สวัสดีค่ะ See you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Bye bye. See you tomorrow.